and I can see also it's online a sole person doing it and not allowing anything in too many books.
All right. It's business. I'm just trying.
I have an email from Josh.
But that's a very good company.
That's something else. I have it for the next
So, Josh said one email he gave me about the house for the which is fine. And I know he got finance Josh gave me. You know, if I just click on that, I should be able to get it and be the host. Yes, it's going. No, what if something happens? He needs this. Will you be around? Oh, how she's sister.
On there. No, on there for a while.
Yeah.
She's around.
So I'm going to tell Nancy, but you don't have to do it.
Yeah.
If I'm desperate, I will tell her. And that will only be the
Let me, you know what, I have 2 minutes. I think we're around the classes.
Josh, you want, Josh?
Yeah.
Does he need to cover a roll?
It's okay, final streets. Yeah. Thank you.
Someone moved it over here. Yeah.
My wife shaved me down a couple weeks ago. But she gets sick of it. Because she doesn't just like it. When she learned. So it's all good. They just told us to do the other.
Oh, all right, we already said
At least I can go. So it's going that way?
Yes.
All right, I will go this way. Wait.
Gets later.
Do you want to take a peek and see what the hell is? Figure out what's it from there.
How about you tell me if I get on the way?
I mean, that's sort of right in,
Is that all right, or is that not?
I mean, you're kind of like off to the corner of the frame.
Okay.
Andrew, do we have a screen available to us?
Oh, yeah, sure, okay. And then-
Thank you. Here we are. Touch screen?
No, it's not. Don't think so.
Don't touch it. The simple one is fingerprints. The more difficult one is touching it too hard and knocking it over.
Yes.
Yeah, we keep it where it is,
Not even knocking it over, you can actually manage the screen.
just by touching it.
Yeah.
If you purposely hard and press.
Oh, look at us with the perfect minion. Good job, everyone. This morning, we can begin by wrapping ourselves in our talisim. And for those of us who wish to follow along, and a lot of us have them on already, we turn to page 99 for the blessing as such. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al v'yitatei Torah.
Amen.
Getting ready to wash my hands. Okay. Our service this morning begins on page 101 at the top. Ma tohu lo ha'atem ba'Yaakov mishkenot Our Talmud tells us in Tractate Shabbat about a discussion and a dispute concerning a few major differences between our behaviors on weekdays or work days and those for Shabbat. Our rabbis almost universally agree, however, that our talk and our conversations should steer clear of those topics related to the responsibilities of our week. Perhaps we walk or we travel on a slightly modified route. Perhaps we take a different course to reach our destinations. Our rabbis do give us one additional change or modification that we make to Shabbat in honor of our day of rest. It's our very clothing. It's said that our dress on Shabbat should not be like the dress during the week. Rabbi Yochanan refers to his clothing as an honor, meaning that appropriate clothing is a form of reverence or deference to God and to the sanctity of Shabbat. This morning, today, on Shabbat, we gather in our sanctuary and online, a change from what we have done last Shabbat when we went about, from what we've done since the 6 days prior to our Shabbat this morning, while we went about our weekday routines. Busy with work and errands and the stresses of life itself, we now have this great gift from God. We have one day, this single day, which comes to us each week as an opportunity to recharge, to slow down, to rest, and to join our fellow Jews in thanking God for this blessing. In the spirit and the intent of Shabbat, we will now begin our morning prayer with the daily blessings found on page 103. We rise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Continue privately as we are singing. We turn now to page 122. Actually, one addition to the service over the past few months has been in the recitation of the mourner's kaddish on page 121 here before we do Baruch Shemamar. So for those of us who are in mourning and all those observing the York site, page 121, mourner's kaddish. Yitkadam, Yitkadam, Shalei Rabba, Amen. Yomad, Yirakute, Yichmakute, Chayechom, Yomechom, Chaye, Bechol Beit Yisrael. Adonai, Bisman, Karim, Yidru, Amen. Yehesh, Rabba, Morah, Yitbarach, Yishkabah, Yitbachar, Yitzman, Yitnaseh. The Ela Mikol Birchata Shira Tushbata Anefmata Samiran Yohan Yibru Amen. Shlam Rabba Bin Shemai B'chaim Aleinu Ya'kol Yisrael Yibru Amen. Said Shalom Yibramah
Shalom.
Aleinu Israel. We rise once again on page 122 for the Baruch Shemamar. Baruch Shemamar V'yamar Baruch Severishim Baruch Yeah. Seated. There's a famous Yiddish saying, when something is well known or well understood or done a great deal. The saying in English translates to, it's as well known as the Ashrae to a Jew. We know that the Ashrae is said 3 times per day. So the saying is apt. Any Jew, before the invention of the Siddur, the convenience of having the words of the Ashrae listed out for us, this song was one that most Jews would be able to recite by heart because of the frequency of its recitation. So, to fulfill that mitzvah, we turn to page 136 for Psalm 145, the Ashrae. On page 141, the top paragraph, Psalm 150, the final psalm. Alleluia, 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 We turn ahead to page 143 as we sing together the Song of the Sea. Az Yashir Moshe Israel Zuvene Israel Et Hashirah Pasot Lamai Vayom Rudei Mor Ashirah Lamai Igor Four lines from the bottom on page 143, we remain. As we conclude the song, Tivye Moikai Moana Falata, Machod Mishitapalata Adonai, Vihitash Taranai Koranu Yatecha, Adonai Yudom Leolam Vahe, Kitaranai Uletavoshe Badoim, Yalu, Oshimar Zion, Mishpot Haresa, Vaita, Adonai Abducha, we transition from Birkot Shatar into Shachari on 145. Nishma At the bottom of 146. Six lines down, 147. Holy mixture the fish before that is the We remain standing on page 149 with our call to prayer, the bar. Baruch et Adonai, In preparation for El Adon prayer, we continue at the bottom of 150 at the carrot. Ein here, on me to the life is fear the Sami Domela. Ein here, get on there, in Milama, Sevin to my common Kinu, let I am Efes is the Tago, Limon Mashiach, the end of the Shino, if they are the at the top of 152, Ashrae Shabbat B'Kol HaMa'asim. Bayom Shvi'i Dalav. We continue in the middle of page 153 as we prepare for Ahavah, the paragraphs that follow, leading to our Shema. The Ahavah prayer, Ahavah, great love, love Rabbah, great. In this context, we might not only find the intent to be great, but how about ever increasing? God's love may be increasing. We pray together for closeness to God to increase our spiritual relationship and our special relationship with the divine to be strengthened. We do this through prayer and through Torah. However, this relationship carries with it certain responsibilities, including the requirement to fully declare our belief in one and only God. We'll do so shortly as we recite the Shema. And in preparation, we say together our second preparatory blessing as we continue on 153, leading to Ahavah. Though finding the Kodesh Gadol, Itnasim V'Matzerachim. Amagadesh Tzibor Koyom Shavim Maser Reshi Kamor Serim Elohim Kikam Astor Avashal Tzion Zayir Sefer Adonai Yoram Baruch Adonai Yotzer Ameoron Avarah Adonai Elohim
Let's see.
We look to prepare for our Amida. And as we do, we note that in the opening lines of the Amida, we hearken back and call blessings to our God of Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Sarah, Rachel, Rebecca, and Leah. As always, when we reference our patriarchs and matriarchs, we can't help but wonder why Moshe was excluded. We know today Moshe to be the greatest leader, the most humble and most fair person that ever lived according to Torah itself. There will never be another of his caliber. In an essay by Rabbi Joseph Soloveitchik, we find one reason why it may be possible that Moshe was excluded from this list. There's an inherent difference between Abraham and Moshe. Abraham searched for God, but God did not react immediately. It was much later, according to Midrash. Long after Abraham started to believe in him, that God finally appeared to him. Moshe, as we know, was just the opposite. Moshe never searched for God. He was a simple shepherd, and he even hid his face because he feared to look at God. It was God himself that searched for Moshe. This leaves Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob as the only true forefathers. Throughout Sukkah and the Shacharit service this morning, we've been drawing ourselves closer to God, allowing our encounter to finally and ideally come into the personal expression of the Amida itself. Before our private or our individual prayer, we'll join together and begin the Amida as we prepare with the recitation of the Kedusa. Kedusa, translated simply as holiness, the pinnacle of the Amida, the pinnacle of the Shacharit service. And in looking back, we can now see that it's in the search for God that is the purpose. It's at the heart of our prayer, and it's up to each of us to hold that fast, to hold faith, and to trust, much like Abraham, even if God did not react or does not respond immediately. On page 158, we begin with the Lod El-Elyon, and we'll recite the opening segments of the Amida together. Tehi Lod El-Elyon, Baruch Hu Korah, Moshe Miriam, Beisel Shira, Besimcha Rabah V'Kulam, Mikamocha B'Anim Adonai, Mikamocha Neder HaKodesh Noratzei Lod. Shira Kadasha Shipru Geolim Leshikra Asvatayam Yachadula Odu Bekimu Le'yam Edu Adonai Lo Le'am Bared Sur Yisrael Israel. Top of page 165, priestly blessing. As we transition into our Torah service for this morning, we have a Kedusa, a full Kedusa found on page 167. Page 168, our service for removing our Sefer Torah. En kamo chaverim Adonai ve'en yamasecha malchutecha malchut olamim u'memshaltecha bechol or v'ador Adonai melech Adonai malach Adonai yikol Kalisha, Kalisha, Page 171. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, be seated. Good Shabbos. This morning, we looked to our Parshat Emor. Emor covers a lot of ground. However, like so much of our Torah, or Jewish prayer as a whole, there's a logical order to the readings. Emor begins with a lengthy discussion about our priests, how they are to maintain their purity, what restrictions they must endure, what the requirements that must be met for them to engage in the service of their people. But then we have a discussion about animals and their eligibility for sacrifice. The Torah tells of a bit of humanity that accompanies our expected treatment of animals. Finally, now that we've been instructed on priestly purity and the qualifications of sacrificial offerings, the Parsha ends with some writings about the times most universally associated with these sacrifices, our regalim, our holidays. Sometimes these are referred to as our minor holidays, including an introduction to the holiday of Sukkot. What we may want to take a bit of a closer look at today, though, is that of the phenomenon of the Omer, the origin of our current day counting, which we're currently in the midst. From chapter 23, verse 15, we read, Usfartem lachem mimacharat l'shabbat, miyom haviatem et omer ha'tufa, Shabbatot mimotiena. And from the day on which you bring the sheaf of elevation offering, the day after Shabbat, you shall count off 7 weeks, and they must be complete. The Torah continues, Ad mimacharat Shabbat hashvi'it through 50 yom, bikravtem mincha chadasha l'Adonai. You must count until the day after the 7th week, 50 days. Then you shall bring an offering of new grain to God. We're reminded of an earlier occasion where the numbers 49 and 50 might be significant. This, of course, is the Jubilee year. Jubilee year, takes place every 50 years. This is where our debts are forgiven and our freedoms become renewed. The wording here in the Torah is wonderful. We're instructed to bring our offering. We're instructed to bring an omer, which was a mixture of barley, flour, mixed with oil and incense. So our Midrash tells us that it's roughly a 5-pound offering, this combination of materials. So one can't help thinking that it's about the same size as those bags of flour we buy in our own grocery stores today. For a bit of reference here, to gain this 5-pound measure, it required 40 pounds of barley. These 40 pounds get sifted, threshed, roasted, ground, and then sifted again to yield only a measly 5 pounds of pure flour. Our counting must be complete, as it states. Or in another translation, perfect. They must be perfect weeks. This hints to us that during this period between Pesach and Shavuot, we're given an opportunity to perfect or complete ourselves in our struggle for purity and completeness. In the time of our ancestors, this was in preparation for the Sinai revelation, for the giving of Torah. Today, we have an opportunity to use this period for self-reflection and self-improvement as we all continue to prepare for Shavuot. All of our rebellion coincide with agricultural seasons, agricultural events. So we understand that biblically the omer, the offering, and in modern, the counting of the omer, begins during Pesach, because this is the time that our divine court passes judgment on the upcoming grain harvest and how fruitful it might be. Since last night we counted the 29th day of the omer. Last night we counted 28. It was Friday, it was Shabbat. As was pointed out to me earlier, it's an easy way to tell. Shabbat to Shabbat to Shabbat. As it says in the Torah, just read it. Some of this time is behind us, we know. But we have plenty of time remaining to delve into these ideas or these actions or these self-reflections. We pray together this morning for the wisdom to number our days fully, to use our time wisely, to make the most between our rebellion, to become the best people that we might become. Live our lives in freedom, live our lives in peace and betterment for ourselves and of all those closest to us. We say together, Amen. Amen. Today's Torah reading from the Memoir begins on page 727 with verse 23. Amen.
Baruch atah Baruch Adonai Baruch atah Adonai Elohim melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam notah b'tafeh Baruch atah Adonai notei Torah.
Amen. Vaydaber Adonai Moshe Lemor, Daber b'nei Yisrael Lemor, B'chodesh Hashvi'i ואחת לחודש, ירחל שבתון, זכרון תרועה, מקרא קודש, כל לא תעשו, בקרבתם של אדוני.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan banu Torah emet b'chayei olam v'natan v'tapeh. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Torah.
Amen.
Our reading continues on page 728, verse 26.
Baruch Hu Adonai Baruch Adonai Baruch Moed Baruch Adonai Baruch Moed Baruch Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher b'chayei mikol ha'amim v'nasanu es toraso Baruch Adonai Nosein HaTorah.
Amen. Vaydaber Adonai el Moshe lemor, v'asol hakodesh hashvi'i hazeh yom ha'giburim מקרא קודש שלכם, מיניתם את נפשותיכם, בקרבתם של אדוני, וכל העלות עשו את ביום הזה, כי יום כיפורים הוא לכפר לכם, לפני אדוני אלוהיכם, כי כל הנפש שלו תאונה את ביום הזה, ונקרתה מעמך וכל הנפש אשר עשה כל מלאכה בעצם היום הזה והוציא את השהיד מקרבה ואומר לא תעשו וכדורם לדורותיכם בכל מושבותיכם שבת שבתון תהיו לכם וניתן את נפשותיכם ותשעה חודש בערב מערב עד ערב תשבתו שבתכם.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher b'chayei Torah emes b'chayei olam v'nosan v'sofenu Baruch atah Adonai Nosein HaTorah.
Amen.
Our reading continues with verse 33 on page 729.
יעמוד שמואל יוסף בן יצחק גרשון ושרה לאה והחיה השלישית.
Baruch Hu Adonai Baruch. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher b'char banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et torato Baruch atah Adonai Nosein HaTorah.
וידבר אדוני אל משה לאמור דבר בני ישראל לאמור ב15 יום לחודש השביעי הזה יעשו שבעת ימים לאדוני ביום הראשון מקרא קודש כל מלאכת עבודה לא תעשו שבעת ימים לגילוי של אדוני ביום השביעי לקודש יהיה לכם יותר של אדוני יצרתי כל מלאכת עבודה לא תעשו אין למועדי אדוני שתקראו אותם מקרא קודש לגילוי של אדוני עולם מכרז ובזק ודסתים דבר יום ביומות מלאך שבתות לאדוני מלבד מנותיכם ומלבד כל דבריכם ולמד כל מצוותיכם אשר תיתנו לאדוני. ב15 יום לחודש השביעי ועשיתם את הארץ לחוק את אדוני 7 ימים ביום הראשון של הדור וביום השביעי שבתון רק תחתר לכם ביום הראשון פרי צדק אבות מרים ואבבות עת צוות והרבה נחם ושמחתם לפני אלוהיכם 7 ימים וחג לאדוני 7 ימים בשנה חוקה גדולה לחודש השביעי והסוכות תשבו 7 ימים כל האזרח בישראל ישבו בסוכות למען יגדולכם כי בסוכות הושבתי בני ישראל והוציאי אותם מארץ מצרים אני אדוני אלוהיכם וידבר משה את מועדי אדוני אל בני ישראל.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם אשר נתן לנו תורת אמת וחיי עולם נתן לנו. ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה.
We'll take a moment to offer a Mishavera, a prayer for healing for those members of our community who are in need, who are sick. For those of us who wish to follow along, it's on page 173. Mishavera Halateinu Aram Yitzchak v'Yaakov Imotenu Sarah Rachel v'Leah Hu Yivarech v'Yirapeh Et Ben Weinberg, Yisrael Ben Mira Kohen, Sharon Frank, Barbara Gershaver, Sylvia Gilbert Marsh, Kathleen Sykes, Harvey Lewis, Dr. Iris Sherman, Stacy Megalitis, Elise Cohen, Masha Simaklan Ayadina, Judy Shapiro, Heidi Wartzman, Paula Levine, Lois James, Leah Bat Basha or Mordecai, Yosefa Adina Bat Basha Sarah, Rubieta Bat Mariasha, Israel Dov Ben Sarah Eshte, Sarah Bat Sarah Yemi, Risha Kayla Bat Sarah Eshte, Devorah Ruth Bat Sarah, Nechama Esther Bat Barata Elia, and Malta Bat Chava Rachel.
Ruth Sanger.
Shemaiah Nolan Sephora, Sarah Ita, Mike Sephora, and Rick Rogers.
Abigail Naomi Daniel, Deborah Roscoff, Michelle Anton, Judy Shapiro, and Christina Caramana.
Anna Hannah got Leah Winsky, Hannah Sarah got Dorothea, Hannah Basha got Sarah. Fuzzy Maderas and Maderas family, Ron Jeffrey, Bruno DeCallo, Stacy Megalitis, Michelle Lincoln, Ken Weinberg, Lucy Gates, Jerry Martell, Kathy.
HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Yimalech Tamim Aleichem Latazikam L'Rakeotam, Vayishlach Lahem Mehera Refuah. Refuah Shelema Min Hashamayim, Refuah HaNefesh, Urefuah HaGuf, Betov She'ar HaCholim, Betov She'ar HaCholim, V'chazek et Yedei HaOskim B'tzartehem, HaOskim B'tzartehem, Shahabatim Lizot Refuah Krova Lavo, Ashha Yagala Izman Karif V'nomar Amen.
Yamod Hamafia Ta'amod Hagolah. Give me 1 second.
Please be seated. Our Haftorah today comes to us from chapter 44 in the book of Ezekiel. The text itself draws a parallel in the discussion of the laws regarding our Kohanim. Although we didn't read this section of Torah this year in the triennial cycle, the opening sections of them were, as we discussed, were entirely devoted to this topic. Ezekiel himself prophesied in the 6th century BCE, and his message was a warning of the destruction of Jerusalem. But also, he told of its subsequent restoration. He lived to bear witness to the culmination of his prophecy as the Babylonian Empire laid siege to the city and eventually exiled its inhabitants. In the Haftorah this week, we read and receive a deeper look at the rules and the requirements of our priests, of our Kohanim, and what they're to wear, how they're to care for themselves and their bodies, their marriages and their restrictions on marriage, their purity requirements. And in verse 28 of this Haftorah, we learn how the priests are to place all of their faith in God and that they have no need for monetary or tangible rewards. והייתה להם בנחלה, אני נחלתם, ואחוזה לא תיתנו להם בישראל, אני אחוזתכם. This shall be their portion, for I am their portion, and no holding shall be given them in Israel, for I am their holding. The beauty of this reading comes as Ezekiel presents our priests as both spiritual and as teaching leaders. So, for those of us following in our Humashim, please turn to page 735 for today's Haftorah review from Ezekiel. Welcome and welcome.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher בחר בדבריהם טובים ורצה בדבריהם הנאמרים באמת. Baruch atah Adonai אבותינו בתורה ובמושבו ובישראל עמו ובנביאי האמת והצדק. הכהנים הלוויים בני צדוק אשר שמרו את משמרת מקדשי ביצועו לישראל מעלי המה יקרבו אלי לשרתני ועמדו לפניי להקריב לי הן לבדם נאום אדוני אלוהים. המה יבואו אל מקדשי והמה יקרבו אל שולחני לשרתני ושמרו את משמרתי והיה בבואם אל שערי החצר הפנימית בידי פלישתים ילבשו ולא יעלה עליהם צמר בשרתם בשערי החצר הפנימית בבית פערי פלישתים יהיו על ראשם ומכנסי פלישתים יהיו על מטניהם לא יחדרו ביעזה ובצאתם אל החצר החיצונה אל החצר החיצונה אל העם יפשטו את בגדיהם אשר המה משרתים בם והניחו אותם בלחשות הקודש ולבשו בגדיהם אחרים ולא יקרשו את העם בבגדיהם בראשם לא יבלעו ופרע לא ישלחו חסום יחסמו את ראשיהם ויין לא ישתו כל כהן בבואם אל החצר הפנימית באלמנה וגרושה לא ייקחו להם לנשי כי הם בתולות מזרע בית ישראל האלמנה אשר תהיה אלמנה מכהן ייקחו ותמיד יורו בין קודש לחול ובין טמא לטהור יודיעו ברי המה יעמדו למשפט במשפטי ישפטו בתורותיי ואת חוקותיי בכל מועדיי ישמרו ואת שבתותיי יקדשו. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם סור כל העולמים צדיק בכל הדורות היה לנאמן האומר ויוסף המדבר ומקיים שכל דבריו אמת וצדק. נאמן אתה הוא אדוני אלוהינו ונאמנים דבריך ודבריך מפניך וכל שופריך כי המלך נאמן ברחמן אתה Baruch atah Adonai. בחוץ בקווים בשיטתך, במהרה יבוא ויעבר אימנו, על כיסו לא ישב זר, ולא יתעלו עוד אחרים את כבודו, כי בשם קדשך משפטת לו, שלא ירבה לו לרמב"ם, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן דוד. על התורה, על העבודה, על יום השבת הזה, שנתת לנו, אדוני אלוהינו, לקדושה ולמנוחה, לכבוד ולתפארת. על הכל, אדוני אלוהינו, אנחנו מודים לך ומברכים אותך, יתברך שמך בפי כל חי, תמיד לרמב"ם, ברוך אתה אדוני, ונענש השעה.
Before we say a prayer for our country, I just want to pay a sly compliment to Mr. Evans. A Haftorah is often thought of as a solitary event. People do their Haftorah, blessings before into a reading from the Haftorah, blessings after. I cannot remember or think of anyone that has as much participation in singing and chanting a Haftorah as Sam. I think it has to do something along the lines of the tenor of his voice, and it's so inviting. I'm not sure if it picks up on the microphone, but I can attest to the fact that there's more accompaniment than there usually is for a Haftorah. So, Mazel Tov and Yashar Koach for our Haftorah reading today. On page 171, we find a prayer for our country. Yeah, that's true. Yep, it's true. It's on 177. Thank you, Elaine.
I agree, Sam, every word of the Lord. Master of the universe, in whose hand is the breath of all life, and the soul of every person. Great is the gift of Shabbat, the day of rest for all our creators. With all of our senses, we receive the glory of your word. Fill us with your goodness, that we may attest to your great deeds. Strengthen us to become your faithful partners, presenting the world for the sake of future generations. Adonai, our God and God, our ancestors, may it be your will to use the blessing of the world in our day, as you have done from the beginning of time. Our God, Lord of our ancestors, with mercy, accept our prayer. You know what and you know, I never do this. Okay, our God and God, our ancestors, with mercy, accept our prayer. Our country and its government. Lord, your blessing upon the land, upon its inhabitants, upon its leaders, its judges, officers, and officials, who faithfully devote themselves to the needs of the public. Help them understand the rules of justice. You have decreed so that peace and security, happiness and freedom will never depart from our land. And God, the Spirit, is in all humanity, each living in the Spirit, and all who have this world. I will from our
Wisdom, you have and the understanding and courage.
Make it your will that our land be a blessing to all who dwell on earth. And may you cause all peoples to dwell in friendship and freedom. Speedily, so the vision of your prophets, nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they work without war anymore. For all of them, from the least of them to the greatest, shall know me. And let us say,
Amen. On page 448, let's see. We now return our Torah to the Ark with our service continuing on page 183. 183. We remain standing. Yeah, hallelujah, Shem Adonai, King is God, Jehovah Adonai, Olam Haaretz v'Shamayim, v'Yarech Yahweh, Tziyah Lechot, Asirah, Livnei Yisrael, Please be seated. We welcome our teacher for this morning. Gil Houston is going to share some wisdom and some teaching with us. No rush, we can wait as long as we're okay. Toda.
Okay. I need to read this.
Take your mask off. Thank you.
Okay. This week's Pasha is a more speak. The Pasha begins by telling us that a Kohen priest must always remain pure. So what exactly does that mean? A Kohen must not come in contact with the dead body, and he is only allowed to become pure by going to the funeral or cemetery of a close relative, father, son, daughter, brother, or a married sister. He is not allowed to marry a divorcee, or let us say, a woman of questionable background. A Kohen can only marry a virgin. A Kohen with a physical deformity cannot serve in the holy temple, nor can a deformed animal be brought as an offering. Now, this isn't the first time we've encountered problematic texts that go against today's sensibilities. Think about Rebecca and Jacob taking advantage of Isaac's blindness, Leah's lower family status due to her visual blindness, and the statement where Moses warns that God will afflict those who disobey commandments with insanity, blindness, and more. At the same time, our sacred texts carry commandments that demand special protections for those with disabilities and those who are the most vulnerable. In fact, the ruling about priests in this week's Pasha is preceded by, and I quote, "Do not insult the deaf, and do not put a stumbling block before the blind. You shall revere your God. I am Adonai." So how can we understand these apparent inconsistencies? What can we learn from these conflicts in today's world? And most importantly, how do we teach these troubling texts to future generations? As our communities continue to evolve, we must continue learning about, and most importantly, from people with visible and invisible disabilities. We need to ensure that we live with the teachings in Pirkei Avot when Ben Zoma asks, "Who is wise?" Those who learn from all people. All people. We have changed and grown since ancient days, but our work to be all-inclusive is yet not complete. I don't mind the inside first. Anyway, the second part of the war lists the laws of Shabbat and the harvest festivals calendar, Pesach, Shavuot, and Sukkot. Next, the Torah discusses the lighting of the menorah in the temple and the showbread, lechem hapanim, placed weekly on the table there. And more concludes a man being executed for blasphemy and the penalties for murder, death, and destroying someone's property, monetary compensation. So how in today's world have men and women inherited some of the roles and activities of the ancient priests? First, let us discuss the meaning of the word "the more." It means speak, thus highlighting the power of our words. Our sages state, lashon hara, malicious gossip kills three: the one who speaks, the one who listens, and the one being spoken about. We can easily understand why the speaker and listener suffer. They've committed a transgression. But why the one spoken about? Because his or her character flaws being discussed brings the revelation of those qualities. The reverse is also true. Consistent mention of the good qualities a person possesses facilitates the good in that person's conduct. But let's go a little deeper. And this, by the way, is a small part of the joy of studying Torah. and why studying Torah is lifelong, special, meaning, and beautiful. Take it from this notice. Anyway, it's Lashon Hara, even if it's true. A listener pressures the speaker to tell. Names are left out. It's the speaker's family. The speaker includes him or herself in the derogatory description. Lashon Hara expresses itself in many forms. It can be factual or it can be subjective. And it doesn't even have to be speech. Any means of communicating derogatory or damaging information falls under the definition of Lashon Hara. Facebook, Twitter, or TikTok, anyone? And here's another example. Among the many commandments of the Lord is the commandment of giving tzedakah from his or her harvest. The Torah teaches us when a Jew reaps the harvest in his or her field, a corner should be left untouched. When he or she ties the sheaves of grain into bundles, they should leave the ones that fall. And when they collect the bundles, if one is forgotten, they should leave that one too. These are left for the poor. Actually, this information was told to us last week, so why is it repeated here? Wouldn't it be nice to go out there and help the poor by handing them the bundles? Sure, this is nice, but for whom? It makes us feel proud when we give to others, but how do the receivers feel? Wouldn't they feel more comfortable if they were allowed to take the bundles themselves? The Torah is teaching us that the proper way to fulfill a mitzvah is to share with others, but thinking about those people's feelings and not about our own desires to do good. As we are finally getting out of the isolation of the past couple of years, I must admit that my days are still often flowing together, one into the other. And in the spirit of complete honesty, the overwhelming feeling of not knowing what day it is has felt unnatural, even unholy. As Jews, we thrive because of our rhythm, which is set for us. Over and over, Torah reminds us that we have a flow to our days and weeks. Asher and Moore reminds us of that rhythm. 6 days a week we work, and on 1 day we rest. Further, we celebrate holy occasions, including holidays, according to the calendar set out in this Torah portion. Shabbat defines our weeks, and the holidays define our year. It is that infusion of regular holiness that sustains us and gives us a flow in and out of the sacred and profane. So while we read this week about Hashem's festivals, it is that consistency of holiness we must provide. It is our responsibility to sanctify these days. It is up to us to make them holy. So Pastor Moore offers us a vast amount of spiritual light, one of the most of the entire year. We read about the priests and their purity, but remember that we are reading about ourselves. We have the spirit of divinity within us, and when we act in ways of loving kindness, we can allow that purity and holiness to manifest itself outwardly as well. Pascha Amor is special as it discusses all of the holy days throughout the year. Holidays are windows in time that are invaluable blessings. They offer us renewal, purification, abundance, joy, miracles, freedom, and even a taste of immorality. Our spark of light is brought out this week. We need to assess this great power so we can improve the lives of others, the world, and ourselves. This is the greatest gift ever granted, the power to love and to be a light. We can begin to follow this path at any moment, and we can activate it at any moment starting in the middle. Actually,
Imperceptible. Yasher Kofei, Bill, it's always special when text and Torah sections and passages can be made relatable to today. And you did that so seamlessly. It's wonderful. Nicely done. Yasher Kofei. Our service this evening, well, this morning, continues as we look toward our closing prayers. Let's turn to page 204 for Amy Elohim.
Oh
observe yard sites. We observe the yard site of Phil Rosenberg, father of Brenda Kessel, Sid Wordsman, mother of Norman Wordsman, Marilyn Berkowitz, mother of Rona Nessel, Jeffrey Fishman, son of Carol and Norton Fishman, Anna Weinstein, sister of Simeon Berinsky, Jessie Blacker, mother of Norman Blacker, Max Lifton, father of Theodore Lifton, Julius Rosenblum, grandfather of Jane Moscow, Sarah Cutler, mother of Blossom Glassman, Sarah Greenberg, grandmother of Mary and Aaron, Gloria Cabot, dear friend of Gerald Fleischman, Martha Sandler, mother-in-law of Elise Sandler, Leo Leonard, husband of Dorothy Leonard, and Robert Blake, husband of Glenda Blake, Ethel Myers, mother of Marshall Myers. All those who are observing a yard site or anyone who's in mourning, please rise to say the mourner's cottage together on page 207. Yitzgadah, Yitzgadah, Shnei Raha, Yalmad, Tzedek, Lichma, Hayekol, Uchaye, Kol Beit Israel, Ba'alam, Yizman, Barim, Yibru, Yidei, Shnei Raha, Yitzbarah, Yishtabah, Yishahar, Yishmam, Yisrael. Dar Yisrael, Allah, Shah, Shalom, Shalom. Aleinu Ya'achol Yisrael Yimru. Amen. Please be seated. Tomorrow we have a special Sukkah Horowitz concert, which takes place at 8 p.m. So drink your coffee in the afternoon and get ready for an 8 p.m. show. What else? Are there any other announcements that we should mention? Yes, Bill.
Mitzvah Day is June 12th, and we're starting to collect ideas and information. We'll continue to collect glasses and hearing aids and cell phones to be refurbished, and we have other things that we would like to do. So if you have any ideas, please let me know. In 2 weeks, when she gets back from Israel, we can also write and text you.
Great, thank you. All right, so that's right around the corner as well. Anything else that we should make mention of while we are gathered here? Okay, so Shabbat Shalom one last time to everyone here, and we conclude services today on page 208 with Anin Zmira. Anin Zmira, the Shiri Mera, Piyeh, Nashitarot, Nashi Pamna, Tseya Leta, Rasaleta, Mide Nari, Koreta, Omeni, Miyaleta, Altena Nari, Koreta, Shimkata, Shirida, Asam Rabbi, So come si sei laila, if I give a baby, there will be a day, that the was never grow show, I'll make some logical defend the odds, Now, Shabbat Shalom.